Shalom, 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 shalom. I'm the Val praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Teaching Rule Well. Peace and salutation to those who scattered abroad. That's how you're doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm Brother Bach, coming at you with another lesson, man. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Today I was gonna go into Operation Epic Fury. This is between the U.S. and Iran. This is an article from TheGuardian.com. It says, from Peace President to Operation Epic Fury, Donald Trump's road to war. It says, Donald Trump ordered the launch of the war on Iran last Friday afternoon while on board Air Force One as the presidential plane made it to its descent towards Corpus Christi, Texas. Trump was on his way to the port city to give a speech titled American Energy Dominance, and he had spent the 3-hour flight chatting to Texas Republicans, including the two state hawkish senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, about his options in Iran. Also present on the plane in the countdown to Operation Epic Fury was a veteran film star, Dennis Quaid. At some point in the flight, Cruz filmed Quaid sitting next to Trump and persuaded the actor to reprise his role as Ronald Reagan in a 2024 reverential biopic. To that, Cruz could frame the encounter as two great American presidents. Kind of skimming through this. It says Trump had, after all, campaigned as a leader who would end America's forever wars, begun by Bush in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere. His MAGA movement was built on antipathy to foreign entanglement, and the president himself spent of 2025 lobbying to be added the Nobel Peace Prize. That started with Bush, taking his business and putting it into the Middle Eastern, man. That's what started these wars, man. These damn Edomites get the big head and they want to go take over shit, man. Esau want to have control over every single thing, man, even if it ain't got nothing to do with him, man. You ever heard of Karen? They always putting their business into somebody else's business, man, that has absolutely nothing to do with them. It says, in the space of a few months, however, the peace president became the first U.S. leader since Bush to lead a regimen change war against a major adversary. And Trump, man, Trump is a president that does things on his own, man. He when you, as a president, you have to get like a Congress vote. Trump is making all the decisions by himself, and that started World War III, man. It says, it's talking about when Trump went and got Venezuela president in the middle of the night without a single U.S. fatality. It says pilots flying special forces into Maduro stronghold was shot repeatedly in the lower abdomen but managed to keep control of the aircraft. If it had crashed, killing everyone on board, the operation could have been aborted, and Trump would have very likely lost his appetite for military action. It goes on to talk about what's going on in Venezuela. But that too, man, that was Trump's call, man, to go and do that. So he's going from country to country, trying to take over companies' resources, man. They call it trying to make peace, but they ain't doing shit but stirring shit up, man. They making shit even worse than what it already is. I'm gonna go to another article. It says Congress. I'm gonna start off by by acknowledging this site, man, because they'll take your page down. They'll copyright your video. This is from CRG, so like a CFR.org. It says Congress declines to demand a say in the Iran war. So like I was saying earlier, man, you're supposed to get a vote from Congress before you can do anything, right? But Congress is declining its say. So that's basically giving Trump, the power to do whatever the hell he want to do. It says Republican lawmakers in the House and Senate rallied around President Trump's decision to attack Iran and passed on the opportunity to demand he make the case to Congress. They want him to do this, man. They wanted him to do it. They rallied around him, boosted him up. It says the Constitution vests power in declaring war with Congress. Therefore, no offense expedition of importance can be undertaken until they have deliberated upon the subject and authorized such a measure. So this been going on. That Congress, like when it comes to wars, Congress is supposed to vote, whether they agree or they disagree. It says Congress declines to demand a say. They decline to demand a say. They don't want to say in yes or no to the wars, man. That's the Lord putting the spirit on these Edomites, to go all out, man. America is going all out. I read in an article where they spending $3.6 billion on World War III. And America's already in trillions of dollars in debt, man. I'm gonna skim through this. It says the arguments opponents offer for not demanding a say in the decision to use force against Iran were varied. Senate Majority Leader John Thune likely spoke for many of his colleagues when he argued that Trump's decision was consistent with what previous administrations have done, and that the president was perfectly within his rights to take the steps that he took. Right, man, they supported his decision, man. The Lord put the spirit on the Congress to support his decision in starting World War III, man. These damn Edomites are so proud, man. It says Congress has in that picture, it says Congress has declared war 5 times in U.S. history. They started all these damn wars, man. Skimming through this. Usually when you go against Congress, man, you get impeached, but not in this case, man. Let me grab some articles on the on World War III, man. You know, I said Britain can get sucked into the war. China, Russia, you know, it's about to be a all-out war, man. This is from YONnews.com. It says, as Iran crisis escalates, Donald Trump has an escape plan ready if World War III or nuclear war occurs. It says the Iran crisis could trigger a global conflict that might turn into World War III and even lead to nuclear war. Donald Trump has an escape plan ready if any case of this happens. The administration and defense activities will continue from secret bunkers. You know, because they know that Iran hasn't even, started shooting, any of their nuclear weapons yet, man. They just been sending, bombs, missiles, and things of that such, hitting, U.S. embassies and U.S. territories, over there in the Middle East, man. I think that, that after, the Passover, man, shit is gonna start getting real, man. This is it says Donald Trump has an escape plan ready just in case his war on Iran turns into a nuclear war. While the world burns, he will be sitting pretty inside one of the 3 bunkers in the United States, running the show as apocalyptic scenes unfold. The government's doomsday plan reveals that when humans decide to burn their own world to the ground, what is known as continuity of operations plan will kick in. So they know what's gonna happen, man. It speak about it in the scriptures. It's gonna be all out nuclear warfare, man. It says there are at least 3 designated bunkers built during the Cold War in Colorado, Pennsylvania, or Virginia. And I'm pretty sure that they have built more since then, man. I think the Cold War was in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. It's somewhere around that area. But you don't think they built more bunkers since then? And really those bunkers are for the elect, man. The Lord is going to protect his elect. It says from the forfeited bunkers, he will ensure critical government functions such as national defense, economic stability, and public safety stay on track. How you gonna have public safety and they saying it's gonna be apocalyptic scenes? It's not gonna be no damn public safety when they start shooting nuclear bombs, man. Everybody can't fit inside those damn bunkers. Shit is gonna be destroyed, man. And it shows, where they have the some of those bunkers. But if I can look it up online, you don't think these Iranian captains and military veterans, you don't think they know? You don't think that's the first place they gonna shoot? So of course they got more than, the bunkers that they say they do, man. It says the U.S. Department of Homeland Security states that the Virginia bunker has resilient capabilities and offer reliable support to the president. The base is already a command center for classified programs, added to added the high-tech equipment and system available for various agencies, and MWEOC becomes a perfect place for the president to zoom off to, you know. But if you think about it, man, you know, in a video, Japan has a bomb that can't be stopped, you know, like the defenses couldn't stop the bomb, you know. So how much more when that bomb lands too, you know, because it's gonna be more than just Iran, you know, shooting nukes towards the U.S., man. You know, I'm gonna grab some scriptures on that. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna grab a scripture on that. I'm gonna go to Joel chapter 3 and verse 10. It says, "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong." You know, and that's what's gonna happen, man. You know, these countries are getting tired of Trump's shit, man. You know, they're gonna start defending themselves, man. You know, when you backed into a corner, you have no choice other than to fight, man. And that's what these countries are gonna do, man. You know, so stay tuned, man. You know, be on your watchtower, because, you know, shit is gonna start getting worse and worse and worse, man. That's why you see, you know, these damn gas prices and diesel prices. You know, Iran has blocked. I want to say it's like a gateway, you know, to where they deliver oil and goods and things of that nature, man. Iran has blocked it, or is shooting down whatever comes through there, man. You know, so you see everything's skyrocketing, man. Hyperinflation is going on, man. You know, stay tuned, man, because you know, this is good news. You know, this is good news for us, man. You know, that shows that we are in the end times, and we are almost out of here, man. You know, but that's pretty much all in this lesson. Oh, Lord, when you're edified. Until next video, Shalom. Abba.